I remember seeing one for sale, and my dad wouldn't let me have it because it was modified. He wouldn't let me have anything that was modified. Little did he know that I was going to go on and make that my life's obsession, totally modifying cars, and it's kind of funny how everything works out. I'm Alan, and I'm a certified Datsun nut. I can't seem to avoid buying a Datsun no matter what. If it comes for sale, I have to own it, particularly the 510. So I have currently 3 Datsun 510s, 2 240Zs and 2 240SXs, and a Jeep to drive daily. That way I don't drive the Datsuns in Assault, but it's pretty much all Nissan. The 510 is really it. Like the 240Zs, I used to have a lot of animosity towards. I ended up getting my first 240Z because the owner of many years knew of my Datsun obsession, and so he offered it to me, and it was too good a deal to pass up. And I've actually spent a lot of track time in it, and I really have grown to like those, and so I built one that's a road race car also to take out there and flog, and for an old car they do pretty well. It seems to go in waves. Like last year it was my Mustard 510. I really enjoy the development of a car. I'll get obsessed with one particular car, and I want to create my own parts and solve the problems that are inherent in driving a really old vehicle. And so I'll like tinker with one particular car, and each event I go out and I expect to be a little bit faster, but half the time I'm slower, but it's just really fun to play with things and try and create your own parts rather than throwing things that other people have made at it. It's a total personal satisfaction thing. Like I dream about solving a problem, and then I'll go and like come down to the shop and tinker with it and find a solution and build something. And I remember one time I had the total solution to the rear suspension in a 510. I was going to make it handle so well, and I spent like a month building all these parts, and then only to turn out that it didn't work out at all. It totally like smacked the floor, and so it was total throwaway. But I still, sometimes there's a little disappointment, but for the most part it's just really enjoyable to do these things. And a lot of it at this point is I've already done it. I've been into them for so long that I've created these parts 3 or 4 times over. So it's almost like my Zen state. It's my church. On Sundays I go to the shop and throw together a set of strut housings, or make that sway bar for some other car that looks like the right shape fit the 510. Times have changed. It used to be that if you were into a car like a Datsun before the internet, you had to seek out people, and there'd always be the old guru in town that knew everything to do, and you had to have that personal interaction to like talk to them and find out how things are done. And now it's like Google 510 rear camber, and it's that information now is so much more available, and it's awesome in one way, but in another way it's kind of sad that a lot of that personal interaction has been lost. I just really like that everybody knows the 510. Other cars I drive and people notice it, but it's primarily people that are driving the same kind of car. But in a Datsun, you go to the gas station and it's always like, oh man, I had one of these in high school and we drove it down the airport at night and then we escaped by driving down the train tracks, or just like crazy stories that people remember them from their youth and they've all rusted away, so they haven't seen one in 20 years. And so yeah, I love the conversation starters that you get with just odd people that are driving like their Chevy truck or their minivan full of kids. They like relive their past with you, and it's pretty cool. Maybe it's a little bit because it takes me back, you know, to those teenage years and just being a total rebel. And you know, I had a delivery driving job and I'd race around every day. It was like my own personal Seattle racetrack, racing around town and getting paid for it. And so I get a little bit of that youth back, you know. Not that I'm old, but